Hi everyone, it's psychic medium Josh Simons coming to you with this Monday's message, hoping that whoever turns in can benefit from some of the wisdom that Spirit has shared with me recently. So I want to talk to you about some of the experiences that I've had recently. You know, in my video last week, I was talking a lot about the idea that what this experience is, this human experience, is ultimately a vacation, because we go on vacations to temporary places where we go to enjoy ourselves, right? And I truly believe that this is a temporary place where we go to enjoy ourselves. Spirit, over the course of this past week and over the course of the past few weeks, has kind of refined that message for me, because there's a few different types of vacations that we could go on. We could go on, like, you know, there's the idea of the spring break where, you know, college kids go and just kind of like destroy places that they go to and just have such incredibly hedonistic fun. And that's not the idea of it, right? The idea of this experience, I believe, is very close to the idea of hiking or camping. And if you've ever experienced hiking or camping, and if you're somebody that hikes or camps with integrity, you'll know the philosophy of leaving it better than you found it. And that is very true as to what we're supposed to do here with this experience of ours, this human experience. How can we have this temporary time where we enjoy ourselves and end up leaving it better than we found it? That's a very good question, you know, and I think it's a philosophy that not only applies to hiking and camping, it applies to our entire human existence, and I do not think that collectively we are doing very well with that. Another pretty incredible experience that I had this week is I sat with a woman, and just like many people, if not all people, she struggles with identity stuff, and Spirit could see that. And Spirit's message for her was very clear, that instead of trying to be somebody, that she should let go and surrender, right? Unclench, if you will. The other part of this is that she was a very artistic person, and her spirits were speaking to her artistically, and they were basically like, you know, you are a work of art, right? You are a work of art. You're trying to produce that and to be that you already are. And I think a lot of us either, you know, get that wrong, or just don't even grasp that idea that when we're here, right, when we're on vacation, when we're on this mega amazing camping trip, how can we create a better place? How can we leave this place better, right? How can we be better after we leave this place? Yes. But how can we also be art? How can we produce art? How can we create art? But how can we be art? How can we create music? How can we create mixed media and paintings and sculpture and all of those things? How can we be art? How can we, in the very act of living, not only be art, but leave this place a better place? That's a grand philosophy that I think we can all aspire to. Now, the most amazing part of this week, well, not a most amazing part, I had a lot of amazing parts, but one of the most amazing parts this week was I met a spirit that was very much like Gomez Addams. And if you've ever seen the Addams Family and Gomez and Morticia, there is a love of life with those characters, right? A love of life. And I think that's why they appeal to a lot of people. Yeah, they're creepy, they're kooky, all of that. But there's an abandonment, a letting go that the Adams have that we could all aspire to, I think. And this man, as I was talking to this woman, she's like, yeah, that's my grandfather. And he was Venezuelan, and he had the silk robes, and every moment of this man's day was an artistic expression, but also finding art and beauty everywhere. You know, the idea that, you know, I mean, Gomez and Morticia, as fictional characters, they pretty much had it going on. They had a love for one another. They loved their family. They loved their personalities and their passions and all of that, right? And this man was very much like that. You know, he was sumptuous and not abusive, not toxic in any way. He was just a very good man, and he loved all of the flavors of life. And we should all be experiencing the flavors of life as much as we can, as long as they don't create a sense of imbalance in us or around us, right? So not only can you leave this place better, you can be better after you leave this place, yes. Not only can you create a better life and have a better time here on this great camping trip that we're on, but you can do so by being art, by creating art. Right? Think of that. Think of how wonderful it would be if you just surrendered to that. And whether you fall on the Gomez side of things or on the Morticia's side of things, how can you completely eat and drink of life and all the flavors of life while being well, while staying well and healthy? You know, how can you turn every moment into a sumptuous adventure? So when you're at the end of your camping trip, you can say, I made the most of it. That is something that I and whoever works with me would like folks to think about. And this is something, you know, in the short term, how can I have a sumptuous adventure today? In the long term, how can I have a sumptuous, delicious adventure every day? I want to share a tarot card today that talks about that kind of, you know, it's not exactly how the week's going to go, but it's more of how the tarot's wisdom can kind of piggyback on this idea that I'm sharing this week. Okay. So this week we have the Queen of Pentacles, right? The Queen of Pentacles. Now, in tarot, all of the kings and queens and knights and pages, they represent these different energies that truly do exist in each of us. You can be the most manliest of men, right? And still have that Queen of Pentacles energy. The Queen of Pentacles is somebody who is very focused on the earthly realm, right? She's sumptuous is a great word to describe her because, you know, swords are air, cups are emotions, those sorts of things, and swords being mind. This woman is not really in her mind so much, and this woman isn't so much in her heart, her emotions so much. This woman is very much in her body, right? Having that sumptuous experience of tastes and flavors and senses and delights and all of that. But she doesn't allow those tastes and flavors to create a sense of imbalance, right? Because that's not a queenly thing. It's not a queenly thing. You have to find balance with those tastes and flavors that you're enjoying. And if not, you're out of balance. And when things are out of balance, things break down. That's very much the energy there. And as I just flipped over the Temperance card talking about that balance that we need and those tastes. How can you find your Gomez Addams? How can you find your Queen of Pentacles? How can you find a sumptuous experience? How can you find a spiritual experience by being viscerally human? I love that. How can you find a spiritual experience by being viscerally human? And that's one of the appeals of the Addams family in terms of they're it's interesting, you know, I could probably talk about that fictional set of characters, but the idea that their sumptuousness is very much connected to their spiritual expression, right? I think a lot of us yearn for that freedom. I think a lot of us yearn to be that Addams family. So that's the message this week. Thanks for tuning in. I hope it helps anybody who needs to hear it. And while the summer's here and the weather's upon us, do what you can to go have a delicious experience. So be well. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you next week.